Mia, it's time for lunch, I call to my daughter from the kitchen. Coming, Daddy, she shouts as she skips her way in from the living room. Then she takes a seat at the dining room table as I sit a plate with a sandwich and a handful of sun chips down in front of her. As she reaches for it, she frowns, and instantly I know why. I take the plate and walk back over to the counter. I'm sorry, honey, I forgot, I tell her as I start to rip the crusts off of her bread and throw them in the trash. Once I'm finished and place the plate back down in front of her, she takes the top piece of bread off, lays it to the side, and starts to eat the pepperoni and cheese that are inside. I always wonder if she's the only kid on the planet who eats her sandwiches like that. I mean, what's the point of even making one if you're just going to take it apart and eat everything separately anyway? Can I please have some juice, Daddy? Sure, sweetie, I reply as I head over to the fridge and pull out the pitcher of pink lemonade. I pour half a cup, hand it to her, then pull out the chair next to hers and sit down. With a smile, she tells me, "Thank you." You're welcome. Are we doing anything fun today, Daddy? No, Mia, I don't think so. We have to finish unpacking. Can't we do it later? After thinking about it for a moment, I sigh and once again give in. All right, I guess we can go out for a little while. But as soon as we get back, we have to get started unpacking. Okay, she replies with a huge grin on her face. I've been putting off unpacking ever since we moved into our new house a little over a year ago. I unpacked all of the necessities, and Mia's room is done, but other than that, every other part of the house is cluttered with boxes piled on top of even more boxes. I just hadn't had the time to do it because I was so focused on taking care of my wife. My wife, Joyce, was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer shortly after she gave birth to Mia 4 years ago. She didn't seem surprised with the diagnosis. She accepted it and moved on with her life. Of course, I was beyond devastated. Although recovering from stage 2 cancer isn't unheard of, the entire situation was very upsetting to me, and just thinking about the fact that I could be a single father, raising our child on my own one day in the near future, practically brought me to tears. So a date was set for her to go in and have the tumors removed, and after the surgery, she began to feel better within a matter of weeks. For a while, everything was going great, until a year ago when she started to feel really sick again, and then we found out that her cancer had returned and was now stage 4. That's when we moved to Edmonds, Washington to be closer to her doctor, which was only a 20-minute drive from Seattle. After getting the news that her cancer had returned, we knew it was only going to be a matter of time before she was gone. Doctors gave her 6 months to live, but Joyce was a fighter, and she hung on for a whole year. I expected Mia to take her mother's passing hard, but at such a young age, I'm not exactly sure that she truly understands what death actually is. Of course she knew her mother was sick, and when she died, I tried to answer all of her questions and explain to her what happens after. I told her the typical things that most people say to a kid when a loved one passes away, so that you don't scare them half to death. You know, Mommy's an angel now, and she's in heaven with God and all of the other angels, and now she'll be watching over us, protecting us. And I do everything that I possibly can to make sure that Mia remembers her. We're always looking through old photo albums at all of her pictures and talking about all of the things that the three of us used to do together. Like all of the family vacations that we took, and our weekly family outings, which became a tradition after Joyce found out that she had cancer. Every weekend, as long as she was feeling up to it, we would go out to eat, shopping, or to the movies, whatever it was that she wanted to do. I'm all done, Daddy. Are you ready to go? Mia asks, snapping me out of my daze. I look up and see her putting her plate and cup into the kitchen sink. So what do you want to do today, Pumpkin? I don't know. Maybe we can go for a drive. Okay, I say with a laugh. You know, your mommy and me used to take rides with you in the car all of the time when you were a baby. You did? Yeah. The movement of the car driving on the road and the music helped you get to sleep. I miss Mommy. I know, baby, me too, I answer as I scoop her up into my arms, give her a hug, and then plant a kiss on her cheek. All right, go get your jacket and then we can leave. She slides down off of my lap and goes running through the house to the living room. Just as I get up from my chair, she shouts, "Okay, Daddy, I'm ready. Come on." "All right, I'll be right there," I reply as I make my way to the front door where she is impatiently waiting for me. Then we head to the car, and I pick her up, put her in her car seat, and then buckle her in. And then I climb into the driver's seat. As we start to ride down the street, I glance at Mia in the rearview mirror and see that she's staring out the window smiling. We drive around for a half hour, then make a pit stop for some ice cream. On our way back home, I have to take a detour because one of the roads is closed due to an accident. And that's when I drive past a house that's having a yard sale. I notice that they have a lot of kids' toys out there, so I decide to turn around and stop. "Daddy, where are we?" Mia curiously questions as I pull up to the curb and she realizes that we're not parked out in front of our house. Someone's having a yard sale, so I thought we could stop and take a look. Her eyes light up. Anytime Mia thinks she might be getting something new, she can't help but to get excited. I mean, technically, buying something at a yard sale isn't really getting something new, but try to explain that to a little kid. I hold her hand as we walk around browsing what they have laid out on the tables for display. After just a few minutes of looking around, I'm ready to leave because nothing catches my eye. It looks like all they are selling is just a bunch of junk, which I don't need or want. My house is already cluttered enough with the boxes that I still need to unpack. I don't need to add to the mess. But then Mia excitedly squeals, "Daddy, look!" as she races over to one of the tables full of stuffed animals and grabs one of them. "Mia, honey, put that back. You don't need that. You already have so many stuffed animals now as it is. You can barely fit in your own bed." "But I don't have this one. Please, Daddy." "Excuse me, how much for this?" I asked the woman standing nearby who is running the yard sale. $3, she replies with a smile. So I pull out my wallet, hand her the money, then I grab Mia's hand and we head back to the car before she has the chance to find anything else that she wants but doesn't need. The next couple of weeks go by so fast. We finally finish unpacking everything, and then we have a barbecue and invite my family and my wife's sister to come see the house. Mia's best friend from next door, a little girl named Sophia who is 6 years old, and her parents come over too. When we moved here to Edmonds, my wife actually had already met Sophia and developed a friendship with her. You see, Sophia also has cancer, so they met at the cancer center out in Seattle. Then she introduced her to Mia. Sophia's family actually moved to Edmonds for the same reason that we did, to be closer to the cancer center and Sophia's doctors in Seattle. They ended up moving right next door to us. I was very questionable about the girl starting a new friendship, because once we found out that my wife wasn't going to be here much longer, I didn't want to subject Mia to 2 people being gone from her life. But Mia was just so excited to make a new friend in a new place, and I wanted nothing more than for her to be happy here. So after some coaxing from my wife, I finally gave in, and they've been best friends ever since. When the girls first met, Sophia was going through a rough patch and wasn't doing too well. But then a few weeks after she moved in next door, suddenly she started getting better. And she told Mia that her father had said it was because all this time, all she needed was a friend. And now that she had finally made one, Mia had breathed the life back into her. But just like I feared, recently, Sophia has started to get sicker, and her father just told me the other day that they got some bad news from the doctors. But he's very optimistic. The last time I talked to him, he told me that he had been doing some research and came across something online that he thinks may help Sophia get better. He didn't go into much detail about it. He just said that they were going to give it a try. She has her good days and bad ones, and the day of the barbecue, she was feeling better than she had been in a while, so they decided to stop by for a bit. Sophia's father even brought Mia a gift because they were unable to come over for her birthday 2 weeks earlier. He gives both her and Sophia twin Peppa Pig dolls. Peppa Pig is my daughter's latest obsession. Last year it was My Little Pony, and anything that had to do with unicorns the year before that. I've gotta admit, there is something about her in her cute little red dress, with her rosy cheeks and adorable laugh that makes her seem endearing to both children and adults alike. And I've seen the show, more times than I care to admit actually, because lately it's the only thing Mia wants to watch. And I do get a kick out of how Peppa and her little brother George always tease Daddy Pig about being overweight. And ever since Mia got that doll, which it's been over a month now, she hasn't separated from the thing. She literally takes it with her everywhere. I have to tell her to leave it in the car anytime we go out somewhere because I'm afraid that she'll lose it and then have the world's biggest meltdown. Sophia's been feeling a lot better lately, so she's coming over today to have a play date with Mia. I'm baking some chocolate chip cookies for them now because she should be here any minute. Daddy, she's here! Mia screams excitedly as she comes storming down the stairs racing for the front door. I tell Sophia's mother that she can come back and pick her up in an hour, and then the girls run upstairs to set up for their tea party while I put the cookies on a plate and bring them up. When I enter Mia's bedroom, her and Sophia are seated at the little tea party table with a bunch of stuffed animals propped up in the remaining chairs. Of course, both of their Peppa Pig dolls are in attendance, sitting front and center. As I place the plate of cookies down on the table, Sophia tells Mia, "I like your hair." "Thanks," Mia replies in a quiet tone. I can tell that she's still pretty upset about what happened. Last time that they saw each other, Mia had beautiful, long brown hair that was down past her shoulders, just like her mother's was. But then the other day, it just suddenly started to fall out. When I first saw her, I was absolutely certain that she had decided to take the scissors to it herself. I figured she had done it to try and look like her mom did before she passed away, because she lost a lot of her hair and this was just her way of grieving. So I tried not to make too much of a fuss about it, thinking, it's just hair, it'll grow back. But she vehemently denied that she had cut it, and after taking a good look, I realized that chunks of her hair were just falling out of her head. Immediately I started to panic, obviously fearing the worst, but after taking her to the doctor and having her tested, all of her results came back negative. She's perfectly healthy, and thankfully she doesn't have cancer. I had to take her to the salon so that they could fix it, and in order to get it to look even halfway decent, they had to cut a good amount off, and now it's so short that I'm barely able to even get it up into a ponytail. But what really threw me for a loop is that when I asked her what happened, her response was, "Peppa did it." I don't know why she would blame it on her doll, other than that she thought I was going to yell at her. Looking at her now, sitting across the table from Sophia, makes me want to cry, because they almost look like twins, both of them with hardly any hair on their heads. The girls thank me for delivering the cookies, then I tell them I'll be downstairs if they need anything, and excuse myself as Mia begins pouring tea, which is actually just iced tea, into the princess teacups. After about 20 minutes go by and I don't hear anything from the girls, I go upstairs to check on them. "I don't feel so good. My tummy hurts," Sophia says, rubbing her stomach as I walk into the room. "Do you want me to call your mom to come get you?" She nods her head. So I pull out my cell phone and call her mother, who says that she'll be there as soon as she can because she was out running errands. So while we wait, I sit down on the floor in Mia's room. "What do you think made your tummy hurt? Was it the cookies?" "No, I don't think so. It was the tea. It tastes funny." "Mia, do you think it tastes funny too?" "I don't know. I didn't drink any. I want to finish my cookies first." I pour myself a cup and then take a sip. As soon as the tea touches my tongue, the vile taste makes me spit it back out into the cup. "See, I told you it tastes bad," repeats Sophia. "Mia, did you add something to the tea? This isn't what it tasted like when I put it into the teapot. I just made a fresh batch, and I tried some before I poured it in there." A guilty look comes over her face. "Mia, I asked you a question. What did you put in the tea?" She shrugs. "I don't know. It was in a green bottle under the sink in the bathroom." I get up and rush to the bathroom. The only thing I find in a green bottle in there is Scrubbing Bubbles disinfectant cleaner. I grab the bottle and return to Mia's room. "I hope this isn't what you're talking about." She nods her head. "Mia, why would you do that? I told you before not to touch anything under the sink in the bathroom or kitchen." She starts to cry, and although I'm extremely mad, I do feel kind of bad for yelling at her. I guess this is kind of my fault. I completely forgot to get locks for the cabinets. Mia, I'm sorry for yelling, but people are not allowed to drink this. They could get very sick. I'm sorry, Daddy. Please don't be mad at me. Peppa, it's all her fault. She told me that it would make the tea taste like strawberries. Okay, Mia, that's enough. Cut it out with the Peppa told me to do it. She's a doll. And blaming it on her doesn't mean that you aren't going to get into trouble. Just then the doorbell rings, and I walk over to the window, peek out the curtain, and see that Sophia's mother is here to pick her up. Mortified, I help Sophia downstairs, carrying the bottle of cleaner in my other hand. I tell her mother what happened, and of course, she's angry as all hell. She doesn't say it, but I'm sure that she thinks my daughter is crazy. And as she goes storming out of my house, I think it's safe to say that we won't be seeing much of them anymore. There goes Mia's only friend. Once they're gone, I go back upstairs to talk to Mia. When I walk in her room, she's cuddled up in her bed, hiding under the covers, but I can still hear her muffled cries. Mia, come out from under there. I want to talk to you. Reluctantly, she pulls the sheets from over her head and wipes the tears from her eyes with her one free hand. The other is clutching her Peppa Pig doll. Mia, what you did was not okay. You could have really hurt Sophia. That stuff can poison you and make you very, very sick. She apologizes again, and I tell her, I'm not the one you should be apologizing to. Tomorrow, we're going to give Sophia's mother a call, and you can tell Sophia that you're sorry. Now go get your shoes. We're going to the store so that I can pick up some locks for the cabinets, before I forget again. After the tea party incident, Sophia stops coming around, just like I thought would happen. I mean, I don't blame her mother for keeping her away from Mia. I would have probably done the same thing if it was the other way around. The next few weeks, things are pretty quiet, but I think that's mostly because Mia hasn't been feeling too good. After her hair began falling out, no more has fallen out since then, but it hasn't started growing back yet either. And shortly after that, Mia started complaining about constant stomach aches and headaches. Every day it's a new symptom. She just seems to be getting sicker and sicker, and then this morning she woke up with a fever. I just took her to the doctor, and he said that he thinks she has a bad case of the flu, and to make sure that she drinks lots of fluids and gets some rest. So I guess we're going to be hanging out at the house for the next week or so until she gets better. I pull up to the house after returning from the doctor, then carry Mia inside, lie her down on the couch, and turn on cartoons. Then as I pass by the screen door heading to the kitchen, I notice my neighbor Kevin, who also happens to be Sophia's father, outside washing his car. So I tell Mia that I'll be right back and then head over there. Hey, how are you? I ask as I walk up his driveway. I'm alright, how about yourself? I'm okay. Mia's got the flu, but she'll be fine in a week or so. Sorry to hear that. How's Sophia? She's doing great. The new round of chemo we're trying is working wonders. That's good to hear. Mia really misses her. Yeah, Sophia misses her too. But, my wife is still pretty upset about what happened. She just needs some time. I'm sure she'll let Sophia see Mia again soon. I hope so. Well, it was nice talking to you, Kevin. I'll see you around. Yeah, see ya. Later that afternoon, I'm outside on the deck, setting up the patio furniture for the summer, while Mia is in the backyard playing in her sandbox. She said that she was feeling a little better, so I decided to let her come outside for an hour to get some fresh air. And that's when I notice her playing with something that she knows she has no business even touching. Mia, is that what I think it is? She hides it behind her back as I start to walk over to the sandbox. Mia, give that to me. She shakes her head no. Mia, what has gotten into you? I said give it to me right now. She stands up and starts running toward the house, tightly gripping the hand of her Peppa Pig doll as she drags it along behind her. Mia, get back here or you're going to spend the rest of the day up in your room, I shout after her. She stops, turns around, and then raises her hand in the air that is grasping the gold glass angel that belonged to her mother. "Mia, don't you dare," I warn. But no sooner do the words leave my lips does she open her hand, and the angel goes plummeting to the ground below, smashing into pieces. I rush forward, grab her, and carry her over to the deck so that she's not standing right in the glass. As I think to myself about what I want to say to her, I stare her right in the eyes, and the look on her face seems like she's not all there. "Mia, why did you do that? You know how important that was to me." That angel had been the very last Christmas gift that I bought for my wife before she passed away. She had cherished it dearly until the day that she died. I even debated whether or not to have it placed in the casket with her, but then at the last minute I decided that I wanted to keep it so that way I could give it to Mia one day when she got older. After checking her over to make sure that she didn't get stuck with any pieces of glass, the only thing I can even manage to say is, "Go to your room." Then as she turns and starts to make her way across the deck, she suddenly stops, turns back toward me, and yells, "Peppa made me do it." "What did I tell you about blaming things on that doll?" "But it's the truth, Daddy." "Mia, this is your last warning. The next time you do it, I'm going to take that doll and throw it right in the trash. You'll never see it ever again." She gives me an evil look, then lowers her head so that her ear is right next to Peppa's mouth, and then she tells me, "Peppa said that if you ever threaten to take her away from me again, there will be consequences." Then she goes running inside the house. I don't even bother to call or chase after her. I just grab the broom and dustpan from the kitchen and start cleaning up the glass, the whole time thinking that maybe this is just some phase that she's going through. She's angry and lashing out, then blaming it on the doll because her mother just recently died. But then I think about what she just said to me. There will be consequences. I don't think she even knows what that word means. She's never used it before. I don't know, maybe I used it while speaking to her once, although I don't recall doing so. Even though I know that it's a pretty big deal and I need to address her behavior, I still brush it off for the time being. But I really wish that I hadn't, because things only start to get worse. Mia becomes extremely violent. She begins damaging and breaking things all over the house. She even attacks my mother with a butter knife while she's babysitting her one afternoon, scraping her pretty badly on the arm. And then, just a little while ago after dinner, I come upstairs to check on her, because she told me that she was going to her room to play Barbies, and I catch her stabbing them, one by one in the face with a pair of scissors. "Mia, what are you doing?" "Nothing, Daddy. I just wanted to cut their hair so that they would look more like me," she tells me in her sweet little voice. But I already saw what she was doing, so I know that she's lying. Plus there are pieces of plastic from the Barbies' faces all over the floor around her. "Didn't I tell you no touching the scissors?" I questioned, snatching them from her hand. "But Peppa gave them to me." I'm unable to hide the anger that I'm feeling, and when she notices the look on my face, she grabs her Peppa Pig doll that was lying on the floor next to her, stands up, and squeezes it tightly to her chest. "Give me the doll now, Mia." "No, Daddy, please don't take her away." "Mia, I'm only going to ask you one more time. Now give her to me." After a moment, she throws her Peppa doll down on the floor, stomps across the room, and climbs up into her bed. I take the doll and the scissors and head back downstairs, then toss the doll into the coat closet on the top shelf until I can decide what I want to do with it. As much as I want to throw it away and get rid of it forever, I know that that will only upset Mia, and that's the last thing I want to do. Mia cries herself to sleep that night, begging and pleading for me to give her doll back, but I don't give in. Then the next morning, when we're getting ready to head out the door to go look at preschools for Mia, I go to grab an umbrella from the coat closet because the forecast is calling for rain today, and that's when I realize that the Peppa Pig doll that I threw up on the top shelf last night is gone. I look over at Mia, but she doesn't have it, so I decide not to say anything about it at the moment. I don't want her to be in a bad mood today when we meet the teachers at all of the different schools. But the more that I think about it, there's no way that Mia could have reached that high anyway. Maybe it fell and I just didn't notice it on the floor, mixed in with everything else that's thrown in there. I'll look for it later. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. It has to be. Preschool hunting goes great. I decide on one 20 minutes from the house. Mia absolutely loved it there, and she seemed to really like the teachers too. And what really makes me happy is that she hasn't mentioned anything about her Peppa doll all day. Maybe she forgot about her. I doubt it, but I can only hope. I'm going to look for it later tonight after Mia goes to bed. After hanging out inside for the rest of the day because of the rain, we sit down and have dinner, and then she plays on her tablet for a little while before I tell her it's time for bed. After she changes into her pajamas and brushes her teeth, I go up to her room to say goodnight and tuck her in, but she's already beneath the covers waiting for me. As I bend down to give her a kiss goodnight, I gasp in shock and surprise, because tucked beneath her one arm is Peppa. Mia, where did you get that? Did you have her all day? With a little giggle, she says, Daddy, what are you talking about? You put her in my bed. Mia, stop it. Where did you get her? Did you take her out of the closet? No, Daddy, I swear I didn't. I rip the doll from her grasp, storm out of the room, and head out back to the garbage cans. I hear banging and look up to find Mia staring out her bedroom window, crying her eyes out. I turn my back to her and lift the lid of the trash can. Just as I'm about to toss the doll inside, I notice something that looks a little off about its appearance. I take a closer look at the spot where its neck and body are attached, and notice that the thread connecting the two is green, which seems like an odd choice. Usually they use a color that matches the item, so I'd think that they would have used pink or red, maybe even black, but green, that just seems kind of weird to me. I take the doll, go back inside to the kitchen and get the scissors, then begin cutting the pieces of thread, and once I've removed the last one, Peppa's head falls to the floor and goes rolling. Then I cut apart the body and discover something inside. I pull it out and inspect it. It appears to be some type of voodoo doll, made of pink yarn, but it has no eyes or mouth, no physical features at all. And wrapped around the head of the doll is what appears to be several strands of my daughter's hair. I can't be certain, but it's definitely the same color and length that hers used to be before it started to fall out. A wave of emotions rush over me. I'm confused. I truly don't understand what's going on. That's when I rush over to my computer and search online, trying to find a picture of the same doll. When I come across one that looks the most similar, I click on it and begin to read. Voodoo dolls are small, soft dolls that can be created out of many different types of materials, such as yarn, string, and even leather. They are created to represent a specific person, although the extent of physical detail may vary. The voodoo doll can be used as either a religious or superstitious object, depending on how the user treats it, but it is most often used to place curses on people. Just then, a thought comes to mind. This was inside of the doll that Kevin gave to Mia for her birthday. He had to have known about this. He had to have been the one to put it there, or he knows who did. So I go storming over there to confront him. Kevin answers the door. Is everything all right? No, everything is not all right, I say, holding the Peppa doll up in the air, her head in one hand and her body in the other. What in the hell is this? He steps out onto the porch and closes the door behind him. I'm not sure what you mean. Does Mia need a new doll? I could get her one. All you had to do was ask. No, she doesn't need a new one. And what I really want to know is what is this? I say, pulling the voodoo doll back out of the Peppa doll's body. He pulls his glasses from his pocket, puts them on, and takes a closer look, rolling it around in his hands, inspecting it. I have no idea what this is. I've never seen anything like it before. Well, that's funny you should say that, because it was inside of the doll that you gave to my daughter, and to me, it looks a lot like a voodoo doll. And another thing, ever since you gave Mia this goddamn thing, she's been getting sick all of the time and acting differently. I don't think that's a coincidence. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I don't see what any of that has to do with the doll. How did you even know that Mia liked Peppa Pig so much? She must have mentioned it to Sophia. You're lying. And you want to know how I know? Because I asked her, that's why. And she said that she never told Sophia that she liked Peppa Pig. You cursed my daughter. Suddenly a look of guilt comes over his face, and then he tells me, it wasn't a curse. I didn't know what else to do. I was running out of options. Sophia just kept getting sicker, and all that I wanted was for her to feel better. I'm sorry, I didn't know what the consequences would be. What did you do? I came across something online that suggested placing a voodoo doll inside of another object, and I remembered your wife saying something before she died about Mia liking Peppa Pig. If everything works the way it's supposed to, then the dolls transfer energy from one body to another. So I put one of the dolls into Mia's toy, and then the other into Sophia's, so that Mia's energy could be transferred to Sophia's body. Now Sophia is healthy, and Mia is the one who is sick. I wasn't even sure it was going to work, and it warned that there would be unknown consequences. Like when Mia put the bathroom cleaner in the tea. I think that was one of them. But I know you also mentioned that she was acting different too, so that must have something to do with it. But just the thought of Sophia getting better and living a normal life, I knew that I had to give it a try. And so you decided to do this at the expense of my own daughter's health? How dare you? I stand there before him, anger pumping through my veins, not knowing what to do. No, actually, I know exactly what I want to do. I ball up my fist, then punch him right in the face. He falls to the ground, clutching his bloody nose. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's when I grab the doll from him, pull my lighter out of my pocket, and set both the voodoo doll and Peppa Pig on fire right there on his front porch. No, please stop. What would you have done? It's not going to kill her. It'll just make her a little sick. Please, just keep the doll, he begs me. You must be crazy. I will never let you hurt my daughter. It's just making her a little sick. It's not hurting her. And it's keeping my daughter alive. Right at that moment, all I want to do is kill him. But I know that I can't do that because then I'd go to jail and Mia would be left without both of her parents. So instead I tell him, you're lucky that if I were to call the police right now, they would just think that I was some nutcase. Because if I even thought for a second that they would believe any of this, they would already be here right now, arresting you. That's when the door suddenly opens, and there's Sophia standing in the doorway. And her mother is right there behind her in the background, crying her eyes out. So you both knew, I whisper, shaking my head in disbelief. As angry as I am, seeing Sophia's innocent little face, knowing that none of this is her fault, forces me to calm down and collect myself. The next morning, I start packing all of our belongings, and then a week later we move back to Blaine, my hometown. I think being closer to my family will be good for both me and Mia. Immediately Mia starts getting better. Her hair starts growing back, and I even buy her a brand new Peppa Pig doll. Even though we've moved on from what happened, I still can't help but to think about Sophia from time to time, wondering how she's doing, and if her father found another child to give a cursed toy to, in his last desperate attempt to try and save her. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.